The House and the Senate both vote on bills to end the shutdown. We'll explain why that's not likely.
And the State of the Union address is not going to happen on schedule. We'll have reactions later.
Virginians one county north of Rockbridge are getting a new text-based 911 system. We'll let you know if Rockbridge will get a similar system soon.
And Atlanta is getting ready for its close-up. We'll take you to Super Bowl preps.
All that and more next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Hello and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Catherine Young.
And I'm Sophie Badani.
It's a case of dueling proposals. Republican and Democratic senators each have key votes for today. They both are focused on ending the partial government shutdown, and they both failed. President Trump's shutdown proposal did not get enough votes to pass.
On this vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 47. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
Republicans controlling the Senate also blocked the Democratic bill to temporarily reopen the government. The House passed the short-term spending bill earlier today. It would have reopened the Department of Homeland Security until February 28th. It passed by a vote of 231 to 180 in the House, but fell short in the Senate. This marks the 11th bill that House Democrats have put forward to reopen shuttered parts of the government. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is officially postponing President Trump's State of the Union address that was scheduled for next week. Pelosi said yesterday that the Democratic-controlled House will not allow him to give the nationally televised speech in the House chamber until the government is fully reopened. This was part of President Trump's response.
The State of the Union speech has been canceled by Nancy Pelosi because she doesn't want to hear the truth. She doesn't want the American public to hear what's going on, and she's afraid of the truth.
President Trump later agreed to postpone the address until the shutdown is over. He tweeted yesterday that no other venue could compete with the history, tradition, and importance of the House chamber. Here is Pelosi's response today.
Thank you for recognizing that it's inappropriate to have a State of the Union address where people are working hard, very hard, to protect all of us in that room and not getting paid for it.
Moving now from D.C. to Virginia's capital, a Richmond-based federal court's redrawing of the Virginia's House of Delegates map could help Democrats retake control of the chamber. The new configuration is the result of a long-running racial gerrymandering case. The U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia revealed the redrawing of the map Tuesday night. Republicans currently hold 51 seats and Democrats have 48. But a special election on February 19th could turn 5 to 6 Republican-held districts blue. Republicans have appealed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court.
The Senate Intelligence Committee has subpoenaed President Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, to testify in mid-February. That's according to a source close to Cohen. The source said Cohen has the same concerns regarding the safety of his family. He announced Wednesday that he's postponing his appearance before the House Oversight Committee hearing, citing ongoing threats against his family from the president and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Senate Intelligence traditionally interviews behind closed doors, not publicly. A committee spokeswoman declined to comment.
The gunman who killed 5 people at a SunTrust bank in Florida Wednesday appeared in court today. He was charged with 5 counts of premeditated murder. CNN's Camilla Bernal is in Sebring, Florida with the very latest.
Yesterday, our community suffered a tremendous loss.
The suspect in Wednesday's shooting at a bank in Sebring, Florida, 21-year-old Zephan Zaver, appeared in court for the first time Thursday. Zaver was appointed a public defender and was formally charged.
You have 5 counts of felony capital murder. Based on it being a capital offense, the court is going to hold you without bond.
Police say Zaver entered this SunTrust bank branch Wednesday and started shooting.
He told dispatchers that he had killed 5 people in the bank. The wherewithal and the thoughts and the acts of our dispatchers were to maintain telephone contact with him until responding officers could arrive.
Zaver eventually surrendered after a SWAT team entered the bank.
Zephan Allen Zaver knowingly and intentionally took the lives of 5 of our fellow community members, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, and our co-workers. Perhaps most unfortunate is that now we refer to them as victims of a senseless crime.
CenturyLink says 911 services are back to normal in the Rockbridge area. On Tuesday, a power surge forced CenturyLink to reroute 911 calls. People with emergencies had to call a 7-digit number instead of 911. Meanwhile, wireless carriers are taking an active role in 911 systems. In nearby Stanton, people can text their 911 dispatchers. The Rockbridge Report's Grayson Duran is live at the 911 call center near Buena Vista to talk about possible improvements to the system. Grayson?
A recent Virginia law requires all localities to add text to 911 technology by July 1st, 2020. The state awarded a grant to Buena Vista, Lexington, and Rockbridge County to add the technology. This grant will allow the call center to install needed technology. Eventually, Rockbridge area residents will be able to contact 911 dispatchers through text messages in addition to phone calls. The director of the Rockbridge area's Joint Emergency Call Center said the text to 911 technology is not ready at this time. This is Grayson Duran live for the Rockbridge Report.
Thanks, Grayson. Later, we will see why hundreds in Lexington braved frigid temperatures this past weekend. With different parades on Friday and Monday, we'll have 2 reports.
But next, Isabel Chiodo will tell us about the weather for this upcoming weekend and if we can expect below freezing temperatures again.
It has been a wild day in weather today, Isabel, with rain this morning and temperatures creeping up into the 50s this afternoon. What can we expect next?
That's right. We got a nice break from the cold this afternoon, but it is going to go back down to freezing tonight, unfortunately. Let's look at our numbers for today. First, we have a beautiful shot of Buena Vista. Wow, look at that sky. So today our high is 49 and our low is 25. The barometric pressure is 29.64 inches of mercury, and the wind speed is 20 miles per hour, gusting to 32, which is making the high of 49 feel a bit colder this afternoon. The humidity is 57%. Not much on the radar, pretty clear skies in the area, a little bit of clouds, but otherwise not too much. Let's look at the regional temperatures. So mostly we're in the 40s in Lexington and Stanton and Buena Vista and Lynchburg, but then we're in the 50s in Charlottesville, which is a lot different from the 28 we see in Covington. Our 5-day forecast shows that it will get really cold tomorrow with a low of 17 and a high of 35. Far different from our high of 49 that we saw today. Saturday, it's going to be sunny at least, but it will only go up a little bit as the high will be 36 and the low will be 23. It'll keep creeping up this week as Sunday will be a high of 42 and a low of 27 with a little bit of sun, but mostly clouds. Monday, again, just a little bit warmer with a lot of sun. And then Tuesday, we do have a chance of rain, which if it does get to that low temperature of 20, it could turn into snow showers. Back to Sophie.
Thank you, Isabel. And since we're talking about weather, potholes are made when water in the cracks of pavement freezes and then melts. These holes get worse in cold winter months and do not make for smooth driving. Buena Vista is actually getting its potholes fixed thanks to Domino's. The city will receive a grant called Paving for Pizza. This is part of a Domino's marketing campaign that promises to save carry-out pizza. The chain launched the campaign in June of 2018 and has received more than 190,000 nominations since. Buena Vista had enough nominations to receive a grant. Domino's says on its website that bad roads shouldn't happen to good pizza. 2 parades took to the streets of Lexington this past weekend. One celebrated the life and legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and the other honored Confederate Generals Robert E. Lee and Thomas Stonewall Jackson. We will give you a closer look at both after the break.
Hundreds of marchers braved frigid temperatures in Lexington to show their support for Martin Luther King Jr. and his causes on the holiday bearing his name. Reporter Jimmy Johnson III followed the parade.
I will love you! I will love you! I will love you!
This was the sound of marchers heard throughout downtown Lexington during CARE's third annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day parade on Monday. CARE is an anti-racism group in Rockbridge County. CARE's Vice President, Robin LeBlanc, said about 800 people gathered at a local church to march for King's message of equality. The CARE parade traced the same streets where only 2 days earlier, different marchers celebrated Lee Jackson Day to honor the past. The CARE parade sought to combat this.
To see people coming together and honoring Dr. King, and also I think trying to really move in other days of the year to creating an inclusive Lexington, to acknowledge the past and make a stronger community for everyone is really important.
LeBlanc said the parade theme of We March for Justice included the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, the LGBTQ community, and Latinos. Rockbridge County High School senior Emily Helwig designed t-shirts for the parade. The shirts featured a continuous line technique to symbolize King's persistent courage and were sold by CARE.
I just love to have this platform in the community through this parade to spread his message of love despite any of the obstacles, especially when that's not the prevailing message always in this community. So I've just loved to spread love and inclusion just like he did.
After the march, CARE provided hot meals and beverages to warm up participants and extend the festivities.
And this march means participating and being a part of the community, and more importantly, collectively showing that we can work together and we can all bond and blend, no matter where we're from and regardless of culture, race, or creed.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Jimmy Johnson III.
4 days after the Virginia State Legislature killed a bill that would have removed Lee Jackson Day as a state holiday, hundreds gathered in Lexington to celebrate the two generals. Rockbridge Report's Paige Williams was there this weekend.
See, like that, they're pumped. Yeah, happy Lee Jackson Day!
For Chris Wayne, the weekend's event started on Friday with the Virginia flaggers taking to Main Street. The flaggers waved at passing cars, and Wayne even made a game of it.
5 points for Subaru, 10 points for a Prius, 50 points for anything north of the Mason.
Wayne drove an hour and a half from Monterey, Virginia to show his support for Lee and Jackson.
We're here to provide awareness that Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson were honorable people and not the people they are made out to be by the media and the news and the liberals.
Saturday was a more solemn affair, with the wreath-laying ceremony at Stonewall Jackson Cemetery, a 3-shot salute, and a parade led by a bagpiper. Adults, children, and canines were decked out in Confederate gear. Some even wore authentic period clothing, like Rana Studenwalt, who drove 4 hours from West Virginia.
We try and make it every year, just to celebrate. I mean, with everything that's going on nowadays and people just trying to erase the history, we keep history alive. So that's what we as reenactors do.
Studenwalt is part of a group of reenactors who gather once or twice a month to recreate Civil War encampments. She said she came to Lexington for the history and the heritage.
You just have to understand the history of it. It's a heritage. You know, it's a heritage, not a hate thing.
But Lexington, the home base for Lee and Jackson, has been ebbing in its support for the holiday. And when Lexington City Council voted to remove Confederate flags from city lampposts, the Virginia flaggers began boycotting all of Lexington businesses. Frank Benincasa, owner of Pronto Coffee and Gelato, said the boycott hasn't been that bad.
I don't think there are people that were necessarily coming to downtown Lexington very much.
What he finds most damaging is the optics of it.
Potential visitors who think like, oh, Lexington, that's the town with all the Confederacy issues.
Virginia is the only state to designate Lee Jackson Day as an official holiday. And over the last 2 years, the Virginia legislature has seen bills attempting to replace it with Election Day. Meanwhile, some cities like Charlottesville, Richmond, and Newport News already don't designate the holiday as official. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Paige Williams.
A former Washington and Lee student is suing the university and a mental health counselor after he attempted suicide in 2017. Keontae Burnett's lawsuit is pending in Rockbridge County Circuit Court. He is suing W&L and counselor Riley Snowden for alleged medical malpractice and negligence. He claims Snowden failed to properly care for him when he told her he had suicidal thoughts. Burnett attempted suicide the night after speaking with Snowden. He suffered several injuries and underwent surgery at the University of Virginia. Neither W&L nor the counselor would comment. Coleman Martinson is joining us next to give us some local sports updates.
And the Super Bowl is coming to Atlanta. We'll give you a look at what it takes to prepare for such an event next.
Well, other than the rain today, the weather this week hasn't been too bad for sports.
Especially after the many cancellations and reschedulings last week. How are the sports picking up, Coleman?
Well, they're doing pretty well, but right now all eyes are on preparation for the Super Bowl, which is less than 2 weeks away. And this year's host city, Atlanta, has a case of football fever. But preparing for a Super Bowl takes a lot more than just 2 teams showing up to play. CNN reporter Tom Reagan takes a look.
As crews put the final touches on the field for Super Bowl 53, they're building an NFL experience over at the World Congress Center.
It's 800,000 square feet of football, fantasy, everything that you want to see if you're a football fan, or even if you're not, I think we can convert you when you come on down.
The centerpiece, a nearly official-sized football field where you can practice kicks and run plays.
We'll be running clinics for boys and girls ages 6 to 14.
Fans will also be able to get selfies with the Vince Lombardi Trophy, which goes to the winning team.
We have autograph stage presented by Panini, so tons of players will be down here signing, of course, local Falcons players, but players from all over the National Football League will be here.
Inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, crews have painted the Falcons' home field with logos for the Rams and Patriots, which has got to be hard to take for Falcons fans.
By the end of today, we'll have everything as far as first coat of paint on the whole artwork.
But it will take more than one coat to stand up to all the foot tracking this field will take, even before Super Bowl Sunday. That includes multiple rehearsals of events that will take place on the field unrelated to the big game.
Everything out here will be trafficked on. You know, it's not just the halftime, but we've got pregame show, the halftime show, the postgame show. All those entities, all those actions, all that show have to be rehearsed.
We still have a lot of work to do, a lot of sleepless nights ahead of us, but we feel we are where we should be at this point in time.
Locally, the Rockbridge County High School girls basketball team lost Friday at home against Waynesboro, 48-41. But on Wednesday, they beat Nelson County at home, 53-41. They will play Allegheny at home Saturday as a part of the rescheduled Rock the Ribbon round ball shootout. The boys basketball team lost 52-36 on Monday to Spotswood. They will also play in the rescheduled Day 2 of the Rock the Ribbon round ball shootout against Allegheny. Over in Buena Vista, the Perry McClure track and field meet yesterday was rescheduled for January 30th. The girls basketball team had a tough loss to Spotswood at home, 53-46. But they bounced back the next day at the Roy Stanley Memorial Shootout in Salem, beating Western Albemarle 56-43. The boys basketball team beat Narrows at home 67-35 last Saturday, extending their record to 11-3. They also beat Covington 57-42 at home Wednesday. They face off against Bath County tomorrow. That's all for sports this week. Back to you guys.
Many cruise ships these days are packed with action and entertainment, and the cruise lines keep outdoing each other with new attractions. Carnival's newest ship, Mardi Gras, debuts in August 2020 out of a Port Canaveral, Florida. It will boast the industry's first roller coaster. We don't have pictures of the ship or the ride yet, but Carnival says Bolt Ultimate's Sea Coaster will reach speeds of up to 40 miles per hour on a top-deck, open-air track, and includes a hairpin turn around the ship's funnel. As for Norwegian, it's the only cruise line to feature a go-kart racetrack on 2 of its ships. The top-deck, open-air racetrack spanned nearly the length of the Bliss, and when Norwegian's Encore debut in the fall, it will boast the biggest track yet, with room for up to 10 go-karts to race at once. Not to be one-upped, Royal Caribbean's Ultimate Abyss slide is the tallest slide at sea, a whopping 10 stories high. You can find it on both Harmony of the Seas and the new Symphony of the Seas.
That's all for today's Rockbridge Report.
To keep up with Rockbridge County news anytime, go to www.rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.